Welcome back to Hanging with Dedo. My name is Derek, aka Dedo. If you've been following along, we've been grinding the paint and applying a lime uh, slurry to the outside of our old lime rendered house. So stick around in this video. I'm going to show you as we start on the second part of the project. I'm going to get it wet here, and you're going to see the hundreds of cracks that are in the plaster that once we apply the lime, they just fill up and become one with the rest of the outside facade. So it's an amazing process, and I'm really glad that you stopped in to check it out. So without further ado, here we go. Well, as you can see here, I've gotten it wet now. All the little cracks are evident. That's from the moisture behind the render separating and cracking. The big cracks are from settling. I don't believe that they're still cracking, but they're in there and the water gets between it. So it's definitely an issue that we want to address here. So as we go along here, you'll see as we apply the lime how the cracks start to disappear. Here we have our first coat. You can see where it's still wet in some places. That's the variations in the color. You can also see the big cracks. They really need to be ground out and filled in, not just with the lime, but more like a plaster. We add some aggregate to it, makes it a little stronger, and it heats better in open spaces. But the cracks are a little too small to really pack it in there good. So right now I'm just putting them, filling them up with lime. So they really start to disappear, and the process is amazing to me. And so I'll show you what's going on. And here where I'm going to join the video here where I'm talking about removing the paint around the window, and then you can see some variations of the different layers of lime. This side here has about 2-3 coats on it at this point. So here we go.
Tested out the lights last night, which turned out pretty cool, looking pretty good. I'm getting ready to apply some stripper here. Work good on the other window seal and underneath, so I'm gonna get that applied. I want to wet this. You can see from here the thicker parts are here, and the thinner parts you can kind of see around the edges. I got it real thick, so I gotta kind of fill this in right in there, and you can see the other areas that need attention. I may try to, I'm not going to grind these cracks out. That's going to be a pretty involved process, but I may try to pack them with some lime just to keep the water out. So, and little holes like that, I'll pack that full of lime. So that's the plan for the day. To start, I'm going to do this side, and then over here, I've missed a few spots in my lime washing, so here's the same thing. We got some thinner spots here. This one's probably a little more even than, but you can see the big cracks come back once we cover it. It was pretty well gone, but you can see it. But that's fine. We'll have to cut that one out. But all those hundreds of, and where it's real thick, that's where there were a lot of cracks, like where I, kind of covered up first, and then so you got 2 or 3 layers there. But you can see some earlier pictures where this thing has 1,000 cracks in it. So really happy with the results so far. So yeah, that's the plan. We'll rewash this and get this stripped and cleaned, and then rewashed. And if we're really ambitious, things go our way, we'll get around to the other part of the house. So, all right, well, guess we better get to it. so we got the, we still going here? All right, so I got the stripper on there, and it's, when you put it on there, I mean, it smells chemically. I don't know, that's probably not the right term. But it's real powerful, you know, from the scent of the chemical. But once it starts, it's like it's burning it, and it kind of smells like, you know, shoo or something. It smells really bad.
As I continue to strip the paint off here, it's very physical. This is looks easy in the video, but you really have to apply a lot of pressure, and it takes quite a bit of time to get it off. And the stripper works good. It doesn't get it down to the bare uh, plaster or the bare uh, render like it does with the grinder, but the lime sticks to it well, and I believe it's enough to let it breathe a lot better than it was. So I think we're going to be in good shape. I really like the the outcome of stripping the paint off around the edges. It's just a lot easier than trying to figure out a little small grinding wheel or sander. I tried a lot of things. Which I didn't record here, but stripping it off I think is the best option, and we get it pretty clean here, and then we'll be able to lime wash it, and it'll blend right in, and you'll never know that we did it separately from the rest of the house. So check it out. You'll also see in here where I start to add some uh, plaster, more like a plaster type substance. I take the lime and add some aggregate to it for the bigger cracks, just to kind of see how it'll react. And I think it's going to do well. I've filled them in, and as you'll see from a distance, you'll start to notice that they just start to disappear, the ones that we could see earlier in the videos. So the process, like I keep saying, is amazing. It's just it all becomes one again, and I'm just fascinated by it. So, well, here we go, and I'll show you how it turns out. It was like plyometrics or something, I think is what you call it. So I'm just about done stripping here. As you can hear, I'm out of breath and huffing and carrying on, but you really have to get it clean. I mean, you really want to get that latex and acrylic paint off there so we can get down to some surface. And even though it looks white here, I mean, you can really see the aggregate in there. You know, I like to keep things tidy. Yes, that is a bit the smallest dustpan that you'll ever see. But Anyway, so here we go. We're going to look at the side of the house. You'll see the different layers of the lime that we've put on. You can also see, you know, how all the small cracks have disappeared here at the third or fourth coat I think we're on. The key is to put it on really thin. The thinner you can put it on, the better. And it's really difficult in the beginning to see how thick you're putting it on because it goes on clear. But once you start to get a coat of lime on there, the second, third, and fourth coats go on much better. So as you can see, as we pan over here to the other side, you'll notice how few cracks that you can see. In here, I'm showing you the bigger cracks, which I'm going to fill in here in a minute, which I didn't film me working on that. And like I said before, I didn't grind the cracks out here, which is really what it would be a better thing if you have a big crack. You want to make sure you have enough surface, so like along the top of the window there. But I fill all these in with my lime and aggregate mix. It's not really it's a really weak plaster. It's like a half an aggregate to one lime, so it's not really you know, the kind of thing that you would put on as a whole coat of plaster, but it's enough to fill the cracks in here, and we'll see after a few rains in a couple months how it holds up. So stick around here. I'm going to explain to you the difference, and you can see where we've lime washed and ground, and then the old paint. So let's check it out.
Edges, paint stripper remover, and then you know, anywhere that the grinder can't get. But so we start out like this yellow stuff here all cracked, and then we grind it off, and then when you get close, when it's all ground off, you can see, particularly when it gets wet, but I think you'll be able to see it, and I've shown it in some other stuff, all these tons of cracks that are in it all the way. So it's amazing how the lime gets in there and it just kind of bonds it all back together, really. And then the lime on top of the lime that's in the crack attaches to the lime, and it basically becomes one. And here's a bigger crack, and that's full of lime. We'll probably end up having to, you know, grind some of this out, but we'll see how it fills up. But this wall had, I mean, incredible amount. So pretty exciting. All right, I'm gonna get to work. I sprayed it down. Looks cool when it's wet, I think. I like it. You can see all the varying layers of coating. That's what causes it to have that kind of marbly effect. And you can achieve that on the finish coat if you add a little color behind it and then go lighter over the top of it. It's like kind of like, I mean, it's plastering basically without the aggregate in it.
So here I start to add the lime and aggregate mix that I talked about filling in the bigger cracks. So as I step back here and look at it from a distance, you'll notice how unvisible some of those bigger cracks are. And I'll show you as I apply another layer of another layer of lime to the whole thing and fill in the cracks. And as it starts to dry, they really disappear here. You can see where they're still wet, they're like whiter than the other ones, the big settling cracks that I pointed out earlier. And you notice the one on the window was real massive, and it's really starting to fill in. I just let it dry well so that it when you put the next layer on, it's really adhering to itself, so you're not caking it on where it dries and crumbles out. So the key is to be patient with this lime. You have to really put it on in different coats and different layers. So like I keep saying, it's just an amazing process, and I love to watch it. You can see here in the big cracks how they're still a little bit lighter. That's where I've filled it in, but you'll notice when we back up and and look at it after another hour or so, those cracks are gone, and it makes me happy. So thanks for watching, and we'll look at the other side of the house that we're getting ready to get started on. So hey, thanks again for always hanging with Dedo, and be sure and check out the rest of the playlist or other videos on my channel. If you have a question or comment, please leave them. I'd love to interact with you. So thanks, and may God bless you, and remember, it's always a beautiful day in the flower business, and hope you enjoy yours. Thank you. Yeah, so here it is a few hours later. It's really dry. You can see how the cracks are almost invisible. We'll keep adding stuff to them and see how our aggregate lime mix holds up, and if we need to work on that. Because this side of the house that we're looking at now is in real bad shape. There's a lot of really big cracks, and it's going to take a lot of work. But I really can't wait to get rid of these old green shutters and all that rusty water residue that's run down the side of the house for so long. I've been looking at this for years, and I just can't tell you how excited I am to get this old paint off. And I can tell you, the old house, she feels good too. She's happy and smiling, and when I come home at night, she loves it. So thank you so much for watching. Once again, stick around. We're going to get this side done. We got some other projects that are on the slate, so our progress is probably going to slow down here, but I want to try to at least get the paint ground off before the weather turns cold, to let some of that moisture continue to get out. And I look forward to showing you our progress in the next few videos. So hang around, and thank you for always hanging with Dedo. Have a good day.